Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It has been a long time since I sat down and filmed a brand new video, and I'm really sorry about that. Last month I did upload 2 videos, which broke my streak this year of only uploading 1 video per month. But now I am back and ready to make more videos for you guys to enjoy. So today's video is going to be a little different. As you probably know from the title of this video, we are talking about Preptober for National Novel Writing Month. So if you don't know what National Novel Writing Month is, during the month of November, you write 50,000 words of a novel in 30 days. This is all done through National Novel Writing Month, which is a non-profit organization which can be found at NaNoWriMo.org, and it's just a great site and a great community, and I've been doing this since 2013 when I decided just to try it because I'd been struggling with my novels and actually finishing a novel. I had severe writer's block at that time in high school, and I thought I'd give it a try, and I haven't looked back since. I participated every year. Haven't won every year, but I participated every year. So, I've got my checklist, and we're going to go through some of the things that I still need to do for Preptober and what I'm going to be focusing on so that I can start writing in November. But first, I want to talk about some of the stuff that I have already done in September to prepare. So in September, I kind of freaked out when I realized that I have to finish the novel that I started a few years ago, but completely rewrote last year for National Novel Writing Month. I had a few people in the Discord server that I'm in, which shout out to all the great people in that Discord server. I'm not going to name the server, but they know who they are, and they're the most amazing people ever. Some of them read my novel so far and provided some feedback for me throughout the year, and I hadn't looked at it in months, pretty much since I wrote it and the initial feedback started coming in. So I'd gone a few months without even reading what I wrote, and so getting back into that was a little nerve-wracking, and trying to get into that state of mind and where I was when I was writing it to try to finish it up. So I went to work in September, trying to give myself the most time possible to prepare for part 2 of this novel. So some of the things that I did in September is that I redid the world map completely in Photoshop. I'd made a pretty good world map last year, but I realized I kind of wanted to do it right, so I took a look at plate tectonics and kind of redrew the continents a little bit, and then figured out the climate zones, and had to make some further changes because I realized that the country where most of the story takes place is supposed to have a desert and a greener, more foresty side to it, and I realized where it is on the map originally it wasn't possible for that climate to even exist the way that I wanted it to, which it is a fantasy, so I could have stretched it, but I wanted at least the geography to be pretty realistic. So I ended up completely redoing that, and now the country does fit the climate that I had wanted in the first draft, so that's good. That was really worthwhile, redoing that world map, and in doing so I realized there's not enough countries in the world, not enough kingdoms and queendoms and all that. So I ended up adding a few more, and I probably will keep adding more. Not that it has much to do with the story, but I think to make it feel more like a well-rounded world, I needed to have more cultures and more countries in there. I also took a look at my main character in A Clash of Crimson, and her name is Aurelia. I took a look at her fears, motivations, and misbeliefs, and that was really interesting. I actually struggled a lot figuring that out, because her most obvious fear, I realized, is more of a series arc, and I had to figure out what is her goal for the first novel. And now that I figured that out, I realized it doesn't really work. So I went back to the drawing board with this novel, the first half that I already wrote. How do I fix it? And talking to some of my friends online, we decided that book 1, which I was planning on continuing this year, should maybe be split in 2. There's just so much in part 1 that it actually has its own contained 3-act structure that can just be expanded on. So I had to go back to the drawing board again, figure out what her goal would be at that point in the story, and now that that's all figured out, we've got her fears, her misbeliefs, and her greater series arc. It's just going to be great. So all of that is figured out already. I also created new cover artwork, which you can see behind me in my Scrivener document. So all that stuff is ready to go, which is really exciting. But now I'm going to get into stuff that I still have to do for Preptober to make NaNoWriMo go flawlessly. So here I have my Preptober checklist, and yes, I wrote it kind of slanted. Ignoring that, this is my checklist. So first up, I have the new outline for A Clash of Crimson Part 1 that I have to do. And I figured out Aurelia's fears, misbeliefs, what happens at the midpoint, what happens at the climax. So finishing that up is going to be relatively easy. I just need to take, in this pile, all the plot points from when I originally wrote it and the part 2 I had planned, and just figure out where they need to go in relation to the 3-act structure with, you know, reactionary hero and actionary hero in the midpoint. And that should not be too hard to do now that I've figured out the hard part. Then, what's really going to challenge me this October is it's not just prepping. I have to rewrite parts of A Clash of Crimson Part 1 to make it work for what's happening now with the new ending and splitting it into 2, and actually figuring out the main character's fears and misbeliefs. I have to rewrite a bunch of that novel. The beginning has to be completely reworked, the ending has to be completely reworked, but a lot of the middle stuff stays the same and will just be expanded. I have it down to do in October, but if I don't get to it or enough of it this month, I do know that I can do both in November. I can always rewrite those parts and count the new word count of the brand new stuff, and then I can work on part 2 and just kind of total it in a document, and that'll work out just fine. So I'm not too worried about getting it all the way done, but I would love to get it all the way done before November so that I can actually start part 2. I also have on here to remake the regional maps. I redid the world map, but I had regional maps of each country with like the geographical features and all that. I have to make those now that I've done the new world map, so that shouldn't be too hard. It's more like just a 1 weekend project, or maybe 1 week if I do a few hours after work every day. Then I have to outline part 2, the new novel, and that's gonna have to be done with the 3-act story structure. What are Aurelia's fears, misbeliefs, goals for that particular novel, and then how does it tie into her greater series arc? So that'll be a challenge. I also have to make playlists for NaNoWriMo. I could always reuse the one I did last year, which was really good, but I'm probably going to add new stuff to it anyway. And then I have to organize Scrivener and my world building binder. So I've got a brand new Scrivener open just for part 1 and part 2, the remake, because there's so much that I changed that I just made a new Scrivener file and I'm copying stuff over that's still relevant and then adding new stuff. So that's going to be a huge project for Preptober, just getting that organized, ready to go so that everything is accessible. That's something I didn't do last year. I had my outline in Scrivener and I wrote my story in Scrivener and I had like the characters, but I didn't have all of my world building info. That was all in this binder. So I'm trying to get some of that transferred over to Scrivener so that it's more organized and I can quick reference stuff on Scrivener as well as in my binder to really stay organized and help the writing process this year. So that's my Preptober checklist this year for A Clash of Crimson Part 1 and Part 2. I know I'm getting really ambitious this year and I'm probably doing too much all at once, but I'm really confident. Last year was my first time winning NaNoWriMo in a while, and I just had this renewed interest in this novel that I've been working on for like 7 years now. Completely rewrote it and it was good. Now I've got to rewrite a few more parts of it to make it even better. And that's a good feeling. just knowing that I'm continuously improving on that work, and that every time I do it, it's getting closer to actually being finished. So enough of me rambling for this video. What are you doing for National Novel Writing Month this year? Are you going to write a novel? What are you doing to prepare for it? I would love to know down in the comments. Alright, thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm going to try to upload these more frequently. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe to my channel so you stay up to date on all of my adventures. Alright, I'm Charaba. Until next time.